Warhammer 40,000 was cooler when we got to play with template weapons. It wasn't that long ago. I believe 8th edition started in 2017. That's not so long ago, but it seems like the distant past. But before 2017, every edition before that I played anyway, we played with template weapons. They were a very regular part of the game. They were also very easily identifiable as one of the most Warhammer parts of Warhammer. You didn't see template weapons anywhere else, and template weapons were outrageously fun. They added this super random element that you didn't get in other games. To the newer players down there, I know the graybeards like me are probably getting a little weepy thinking about it, but to you newer players, anything that has the torrent keyword would have used the teardrop template in the past. And then anything that says blast D3 would use the small template, and anything that says blast D6 would use the large template. Now, the whole way damage was done to vehicles was very different back then, and it wouldn't really be so applicable now with the way vehicles have so many wounds. But at the time, the vehicle damage worked very differently, and templates made a lot more sense. But aside from vehicle damage, template weapons could be just lethal to infantry, and made you play the game different. You didn't want to bunch your men up together. You didn't want everybody to be very close, because the closer your bodies were together, the more men would fit under that template. But sometimes spreading out wasn't the thing to do. Sometimes there was a corridor, a small passage to get through, or sometimes you're trying to get bodies on an objective, and the more you grouped your men up, the more vulnerable they were to templates. Now, if you're not one of the graybeards, if you weren't there, here's how the templates worked. The teardrop template, which we called the flamer template in the day, that just, you put it at the edge of your flamer, and whoever was under it got hit by the flamer. And it made flamers, they had a shorter range there, but there was a big threat there, though. Don't get your orc boys by that flamer. That flamer will take out 4 or 5 of them. The blast templates were different. You would take the blast template and you would put it over the model you wanted. You'd pick a model on the table and say, that one. And then you would roll the scatter dice in 2d6. Now, on two sides of the scatter dice, there are hits. And if you score a hit, the template just stays over the model that you wanted to hit, and all the models that are under the template get hit. But if it scatters, you take your tape measure, and you put your tape measure along the arrow on the dice, so you're on the right line, and put one side of it over the model you wanted to hit, and scatter that template as many inches away as you rolled on those dice. And so you might hit a unit that you weren't intending to hit, but even better, you might hit your own unit. And that's something that 40k nowadays does not have. There is no friendly fire in the game anymore. And friendly fire used to be a gas, particularly if you were an orc player. The old orc players, remember, you were better at killing your own army than your opponent was. Furthermore, there were times that you had to gamble on your own luck. There was the big bad enemy in the middle of the table, and you had units right by him, and you had your big cannon that was right in range, and you could shoot that big enemy. And if everything goes well, if you hit, you win the game. But if you scatter, you might kill your best unit. And that happened too. And those gambling moments, they were super dramatic and they were super thematic. And that's something I really miss about Warhammer, where the new game is just such a game, It's a regular old game. We're just gonna play it out. But the old game was big moments, just big story moments that you couldn't predict. Things would blow up out of nowhere. Bombs would drift in the wind and hit your own men. And dude, 40k used to be wild, and blast templates were a super big part of it. Now, I know the 30k squad, they all get to play with their blast template now, and I think that what Games Workshop would say to me is, if you miss the old rule set, well, you should just play 30k. But I don't want to play 30k. I don't want to play Space Marines versus Space Marines. I want to play Xenos, because Xenos are my favorite part of 40k. And I want to play with those rules that I used to love, and part of those rules were blast templates. But now I'm just going on. But 40k used to be way cooler when they used to play with blast templates. And maybe someday it'll be cool like that again.